Exploring Tassie Part 2, where we started off at Stanley, went to Cradle Mountain, finished up back in Hobart. This is our accommodation in the Ark at Stanley. And that's our room in Stanley. 2 showers. Just a quick one. We're at historic Highfield House, just up above Stanley at the moment. Nice big, if you can see that there. Stately home, I suppose you'd call it, where the rich people used to live. And over behind me is the Nut. I'll just swing you around for a better view of the house, the wind. Hopefully you can hear me over the wind. And the Nut. If you're coming to Stanley, you've got to come up to Highfield House. I think it's $15 per adult. Well worth a visit. It's just a little bit creepy, this room. I should mention they had audio playing in most of the rooms, and that particular room had sound of a rifle shot and a crying baby and a barking dog. Very much Hound of the Baskervilles. Back when you could sit on the toilet in comfort. Unless you're a servant, and then you didn't want to be shy. Back in the good old days, a lot of the labour was done by convicts, and this is what's left of their accommodation. Another view of the Nut. The place we're staying is, I think, just the other side of the Nut, right up against it. It's called the Oak. No, not the Oak, the Ark. I can't help thinking this cormorant spends a lot of time on that rock. And as you can see, fishing is a big industry in Stanley. I don't think I've actually shown just how close we are to the Nut at Stanley. But, they're just behind me. Can you see me nuts? The Nut. It's forecast to have wind gusts up to 120 kilometres an hour today, and probably overnight in Tassie, so if you can hear wind noise, you know why. How's this for a nice gnarly tree? It's a red box. Gotta love a gnarly tree. Would I recommend the Ark at Stanley? Yes, I would. I don't think it's really for us. The room we've got is rather small and we tend to spread out a bit. So it's a little bit pokey, but it's a lovely place to stay. Nice and close to the water. People that own it are nice. Breakfasts are good. But, yeah, if you like a bigger place, there's lots of other places around. We stayed over the other side of the bay in a motel. There, where that tree is. That's where we stayed last time. And has a good view of the Nut. And I was going to say something else, and now I can't remember, so I'll just keep on talking until it comes down. Oh, and the Stanley Hotel. Brilliant lunches there. Ninja walk. This actually looks really cool when the rain's coming down under that streetlight. So I came down here with my Nikon to get some pictures and some video of it. Bloody rain stopped, didn't it? And also, as I walked out here, the security light just came on, which is why you got a good view of our hire car. First, lightning. First hybrid I've ever driven. I've driven electric buses. I've never driven something that goes. No, I don't go like that. I never driven something that goes. Vroom. Quick look at our accommodation for the next 3 nights. Highland at Cradle Mountain. Nice, fully equipped. It's a room compared to our last place. That's a gas fire, not a wood one. A lot easier to use. And a nice big bathroom. Most importantly, lots of bog roll. Just came out to record a bit of the sound of the currawongs. I don't know if you can hear them in the background, and we're getting the occasional flurry of snow, finally, in amongst the rain. Can you tell I'm cold? It's supposed to be about 0 degrees here, feels like -10. That's colder than it's going to be in Antarctica when I go next year. It's definitely nice and secluded here. I have to get the 360 camera out because we can't fly drones being in a national park, but that's not a problem. And these trees, so much character. It's either snow or sleet. I'm going to believe it's snow. Yep, it was definitely snow. It actually got down to, I think, -2 or -3 while we were there, with a feels like temperature of -12. I said it in the previous video about the place near Bicheno being one of the best places we stayed at as far as location and everything. And I have to say, Highlander Cradle Mountain is up there. If we'd stayed in our cabin, we would have barely seen any other people the whole time we were there. It unfortunately didn't occur to me to shoot more video down at Dove Lake. I mean, I could have just clipped my GoPro to my backpack and shot the walk up there. So this is shot of my phone on the way back. You can drive down to Dove Lake outside of certain hours, depending on what time of year it is. Those hours change. I wouldn't recommend it. You're better off catching the bus like we did. I forgot to put my wine in the fridge. This image plays in my head a bit, which is why I included it. Depending on where you look, the ice seems to curl in a different direction. Oh, when you meet the nicest people at Cradle Mountain. Back in Hobart again, back at the Grand Chancellor. We're on the 20th floor this time, as opposed to the 19th. We were swinging around. We were around the corner there before, on the 19th floor. I think we've got a slightly better view where we're staying. Don't know how well you can see that, but the wind's really blowing around those boats. Especially those on the left. Yeah.
Now when you get a chance, I'd really like you to find...
So I mean about the wind?
I was watching it before, Steve, yes I do know what you're talking about.
Probably the only downside of this place. Hospital's just up the road, so you hear a lot of emergency vehicles through the day. They do nice sunsets here. Also nice sunrises and rainbows. This is the Salamanca markets that I mentioned in the first video. Definitely worth a visit. And the horse and carriage there, they do tours around Hobart. We saw them quite a lot. And if you like chocolate, you have to visit the Nut Patch.
Yeah, you don't want to waste any.
Okay. The cafe creme.
Sure.
When I first walked over to photograph this statue, as a gent standing next to me said there was another statue here that had recently been stolen. Makes you wonder why, but until someone said they would have stolen it to melt it down for the contents, mostly bronze. I posted a picture on Facebook of the harbour, and my eagle-eyed cousin said, I hope that bridge opens, otherwise those boats are never going to get out. Well, here you go, Terry. It's a swing bridge. And it's very, very slow, which is why I've sped it up. Some of the day trips you can do out of Hobart are in tall ships like the Lady Nelson here. I can't help thinking those volunteers up in the rigging there are glad they weren't on the Mexican Navy ship that hit the bridge recently. Can you tell which room's ours? There's Donna flashing at the window. You would have already seen some of this in the previous video, but it's nice to just wander around and photograph the same things in a different light. And this, coming up, this is one of my favourite pictures of the trip. I also mentioned in the previous video Mona, the Museum of Old and New Art. That was one of the ferries that goes out there, MR1 and MR2. I'm currently standing outside Mawson's Hut Replica Museum. Swing you around. I'm actually booked on the Douglas Mawson next year for my Antarctic cruise, so I thought it'd be interesting to have a look inside. I've just stood in there for the last couple of minutes waiting to pay my $15 and no one showed up. So I didn't get to look inside. Oh well. How's this for a view? I mean, it's probably better without me in it, but I don't completely ruin the view, do I? And here's a few more shots of Hobart before we had to head home.
We'd appreciate your attention as we take you through our safety demonstration.
Donna said there was a bit too much of the airborne scenes from the aircraft in the previous video, and I agree. But I thought I'd have to show you this little bit. If you remember, if you watched the previous video, the difference between takeoff between an A220 and a 737. If you remember, we were already well airborne by the time we got past the control towers here. We're still on the ground in the 737. We saw a lot of fires on the flight back up. Yeah, 2 weeks later, a lot of New South Wales is underwater due to floods. You just can't win. And the clouds flying into Brisbane were so spectacular I couldn't leave some of that out. It was pretty bumpy on the way in too, which is why the cameras were moving around so much. Somewhere in the middle there is our house.
Willow Point.
So here we are back home. Been nearly 2 weeks since we got back, and I've spent all of that time editing the video, editing pictures. Doesn't seem like I've been away that long. So here's a tip if you want to keep the holiday spirit going. Just spend a lot of time editing your videos and your pictures. Of course, that probably only works if you're retired like I am. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Or you'll see me, because that's the way it works. Bye.